Hi everybody, I thought it would be helpful to upload this video for you as we delve into our problem cause solution speech so that you can go back and reference it as you're crafting it. For some of you, this will be a repeat of what we talked about in class. For others of you, we ran out of time to talk about it, so I thought that it would be nice and helpful to upload to our Blackboard. So within the problem cause solution speech, within each main point, and obviously the first main point is problem, the second main point is cause, and the third main point is solution, I will be assessing your different lines of logic. So how you're building your argument and how you're building your case to ultimately persuade us towards your solution in the end of the speech. Now, I want to go through each of those with you, and I think it'll serve you in your speech and it'll help you become a more skilled, persuasive speaker. Okay, so let's start with problems in the problem section. As you can see, the problem section, you need to establish need/harm and also significance. So let's start with need and harm. Basically, you're trying to illustrate and show us how bad it is that we haven't yet implemented your solution. So why are people suffering? Why are they being harmed in some way? Because we haven't yet done what you're ultimately going to persuade us to do later on. Now, you're not yet giving us the solution in this section. You're building anxiety for us to feel like, oh yeah, things are super bad. That is awful. I don't like that. So harm or a need could come in a variety of different ways. It could be psychological, social, financial, physical, whatever, education, finances, a bunch of different types of things could be harmed in life, right? So establish the harm, establish why people are suffering. The second component, the second line of logic that you'll have to bring in within this main point is significance. So significance can be shown either through statistics or numbers. So for example, saying 80% of students are sleep deprived, that's a significant percentage, right? And it helps to illustrate, wow, that's a lot of people who are being harmed, who are suffering. So I've established that they're hurting, and then I'm telling you how big that problem is. It could also be just in numbers, like thousands of people, however you find the data in your research. Or you could tell some type of a narrative. So this hints at quantitative research is numbers, and then qualitative research is the idea of using narrative or story to further explain why something is bad. So this could mean that you find a newspaper article where it really illustrates somebody's personal experience with whatever topic you're talking about and how they were suffering because they hadn't yet instituted this solution. If you'd have the chance to watch my sample speech that I uploaded for you, significance, for example, if my persuasive topic is that we should start schools later, significance in a story could be that maybe, unfortunately, a student passed away on the way to school in the morning because they were driving their car and they were sleep deprived and they crashed the car, right? That would be a really powerful story to show, wow, this is a huge issue. People are losing their lives, and we have this personal example from a newspaper article or one of our sources. Okay, so now that we've talked about the problem, next let's explain the cause section. So in the cause section, you need to talk about attitudes and structures. So attitudes are essentially what are the attitudes that people hold in society or in the school or wherever you're talking about. What are the attitudes that are leading to the problems? So we don't have issues in our society unless people have bad beliefs or bad attitudes. So for example, we wouldn't have the issue of racism in our society unless there were people who had racist attitudes. We would not have the issue of sexism in our society unless people had sexist attitudes. You get where I'm going? So you want to explain in this section, what are attitudes that contribute to this problem still being strong and this problem still existing? The next component is structures. So structure is looking at what are the systems in place that really keep this problem going. Systems could be either laws, maybe there are really bad laws that are in place that continue to cause this issue to keep going. If we take the example of racism, for example, in history, there were Jim Crow laws, right? Those were awful, they were terrible, but they were things that kept racism in place legally. And so that needed to be abolished, that needed to be taken away. So sometimes there's bad laws. Other times there's just no law in place to prevent the problem from happening. So for example, when my parents were growing up, they weren't required to wear seatbelts yet. And then all of a sudden society realized, oh, people are dying in minor collisions. Maybe we should try to strap them into the car somehow. And so then they established a law because of that. So there can either be a bad law or there can just be no law. In addition, structure could maybe be hierarchy in an organization. It could be societal norms maybe that are occurring. So maybe if I'm thinking, if my topic is on gender, there are certain societal norms for what's appropriate gender-wise that are starting to be questioned now, but for a long time those norms held people in certain boxes, right? Okay, so now we've addressed the problem section and the cause section. Finally, what you have to do in the solution section. So in the solution section, you need to discuss individual and societal solutions. Those are your two lines of logic there. So individual solutions obviously would be telling us as a class individually what each of us can go and do to solve this. So finally in this section you're talking about, okay, I've shown you why it's an issue that this solution isn't happening yet. I've explained why it's happening, so why those issues are occurring. Finally, here's how to solve it. And so individually then what can we do? This could be taking a class, reading a book, starting a new habit, not shopping for fast fashion, whatever your topic is. It could be really dependent on your topic, right? Usually it comes down to education or action is what we can do as individuals. We educate ourselves and then we can go and do something. In terms of societal, there are a few different things that we could do as a society. If I'm talking about a school, then maybe I implement a new class at the school. If I'm talking about government, maybe there's a new law that's instituted. Maybe there needs to be some kind of a grassroots social movement where we get a lot of people together at a rally. There could be a variety of different types of societal changes. It could be structures or laws within an organization that are changing that we're giving a solution for. So those are the different lines of logic that you need within each of the main points. You can kind of weave those lines of logic together within your subpoints. So for example, in your problem section, your need doesn't have to be your A and your significance doesn't have to be your B. I can probably establish the need or harm and tie in my significance in my A, but maybe there's two issues that are going on that are leading to this big problem that I'm trying to solve, right? So then the second issue becomes my B. So hopefully that makes sense, and we'll talk a little bit more about that together in class. I'm hopeful that this is helpful and that you can refer back to this if you start to get confused, but please make sure that you are including these different lines of logic because I will be evaluating this on your rubric. All right, I hope you have a good one. I'll see you in class. Bye.